what? Who that? Wait, who that? What? Who that? Who that? Wait, who that? What? 28, what? Who that? Hold that, what? Who that? Wait, free bags, what? Who that? Whoa, slim weight, whoa. Who that? Wait, who that? What? Who that? What? Who that? Base. Who that? Wait, who that? What? Who that? What? Who that? Base. Who that? What? 28, yo. Who that? Whoa, hold that base. Who that? White, free bags, what? Who that? Whoa, slim weight.
Welcome back to Who That 242. It's your host Timmy, and we enter the halfway season of the show. It's episode 5 in here, but I guess y'all can see from all the Brandon is 10th year seniors. So here are two of the founders, brothers, Ronaldo and Dakari Dorset. What's up?
You use your hands a lot when you speak.
Yeah, I talk in my hands.
I could tell. You're very active.
Every time we do one of these, whenever you say Timmy, I always like try to hold back laughter.
I don't. And I should have openly laughed just now. I should
What's
have.
up, though, Timmy?
I mean, it's my show, though.
I know.
It is.
Sorry. At the drop share.
This one was my camera. Welcome to Who Is That TV. I'm going to use proper English. My parents spent so much money on my
to
education.
go to Kentucky.
I had so much money.
You know, we thought for a second we was just gonna interview you about
Yeah.
who that,
On
but
my
like,
show?
yeah.
Maybe
But
have
nah,
time. You want to ask me about who that?
nah, we can keep going.
You trying to have John of us out here for another 45 minutes.
We know all who that's love to be in the sun.
Yeah.
You,
Bro.
hey,
The perfect
dog,
light then.
you love sun.
I mean, it's
perfect
just like
lighting.
natural light.
For everyone else who's on who that who's in air conditioning, y'all lucky. Y'all are the lucky ones. dog.
Let us be the last people that sit in 95-degree weather.
You might
baking.
actually be the last one. I ain't
What
too
Jay-Z
sure.
said, Hope did that, so hopefully you wouldn't have to go through
Yeah,
that.
so
That's-
y'all,
that's
so y'all
just about-
sacrifice because I'm not wearing a black shirt.
Yeah,
Y'all
sure.
sacrifice.
Jesus Christ, the greatest sacrifice.
But we had the drop shed. We on Brooklyn Road. You know, this we just got this 10th year headquarters.
Oh,
What's
no,
the
no,
specific
no.
road?
East Camp Road.
East Camp Road.
Yeah.
East Camp Road is a new Dubai.
It's the new Dubai.
there
Gotcha.
you go. There you go.
Right to Drake. So, talk to me about the site. First of all, everyone know why 10th year seniors.
Well, for us, I guess the origin story, because, we like superheroes. The origin story for 10YS basically is we thought that sports journalism, well, first of all, we're a sports and pop culture site. We thought that we needed both of those aspects to be able to draw the widest demographic possible. Originally, all of us are into sports, but we don't believe sports fans are that myopic in the way they think. So you need to have other outlets to entertain and to draw people to you. So naturally, we began with sports, and then the social commentary and pop culture just came along with everything else that we're interested in.
And I think that nothing happening in society right now or in culture in general is devoid of culture. So even sports gets wrapped up in the culture. You see politics gets wrapped up in the culture. There's no aspect of life that you can think about that people don't want like some kind of commentary or insight on, even if it's just their own personal beliefs or feelings. Like it all envelops into one culture, into a monoculture. So we used to follow Bill Simmons all the time, who's a guy at ESPN who went on to found Grantland and now The Ringer, and all of his articles had like sports themes but had pop culture intertwined. So we were always big fans, listened to the Dan Le Batard show, and decided, this is part of what we want to do. Listen to podcasts like endlessly all the time. So, the articles, the podcasts, everything that 10th year seniors ended up doing, we wanted to bring just some of what we saw into the Bahamas and have the Bahamian people have their own version of those different kind of websites. And as for the names, listen, I sent these guys a picture a
the
while
naming
ago
process.
of our naming process, and we
Dog.
had some really good like alternate names.
Hold on, we had some god-awful names, too,
And we
though.
had some god-awful
Like, we
names.
had some really, I can't
should have
curse.
looked. I should have looked.
We
at
had
it,
some bad names.
Looked at it before, but we decided on 10th year seniors. It's a play off the 5th year seniors from college, from all of college sports. 5th year seniors are the people with the most experience on the team. They're the most knowledgeable. They're the leaders of the team. So, and we thought that 10 was just like, it's a great number in soccer. 10 is emblematic of the best guy on the team.
Is
so
it really?
We kind of just combined those two things. Listen to me about this name, okay? Timai. Many times.
Hold on,
Many
his was
ti-
easy.
No, but many times
I'm
I've
gonna add a
said
couple
this to
M's and
them
A's.
about like, listen, this
There's
is
a
the
lot of
pitch
action.
anytime anyone asks you
I
about
know,
the name.
I know.
And they have said yes. I've typed it out. They have
Yes.
said yes. Anytime anyone asks them, they do one of these. I know, dog. That emoji, they go straight to
That's
that
kind of
emoji.
how it
So there
rolls.
is.
But further to what Kari's point was, I mean, our generation, we were all pretty much raised on ESPN and things being presented to you in a different way. And I mean, shoots, the acronym for ESPN, that's sports and entertainment. Those two things you can't separate. So that's what we thought we would be able to bring here. I feel like the media here and sports media in general was pretty much the same thing since our parents were kids, and it didn't really change a lot. So we thought that, you know what, we would kind of be anarchists in the system, within the system, but also give people a different outlet and give people a different look and give them something, you know, something that would appeal to a younger demographic. And I feel like that's what we do. Most of our fans, I think most of our followers pretty much consume all of their news online, consume everything online, not just their news, all their entertainment, everything online, rather than through traditional media forms. So I think that's another aspect of what we bring to them that was something that wasn't here before.
And just a few days ago, you celebrated the 100th episode of ADA Junior's podcast. And we in Bahamas, we always had vlogs. Like, we had but you're the first time I've really seen, like, consistent podcasts in the country now. We've seen so many more pop up. Talk to me about the name ADA Juniors and just talk to me about your podcast journey.
Oh, man, thank you for asking. Timmy, we drink.
Yes, heavily.
So during the time when 10th year seniors started, we were doing a traditional sports podcast. We knew that would be consumed by like high school kids and for, you know, just a lot of people who want to hear about like traditional, not only just Bahamian sports, but sport takes in general. And my good friend Andrew Bain, who Fridays with Andrew, came along as a writer. We said we started with Game of Thrones podcast. It's Game of Thrones, part of the monoculture, Game of Thrones. And we needed a name for what our podcast is going to be. And so many times that one of us would say a take, you would just be like, I need a minute. Like, I need time to digest that take. So that's where we came up with I Need a Minute from. Eighth Year Juniors was strictly us drinking and then making fun of our own name. Because that's part of what 10th Year Seniors is. We keep trying to tell us,
It's
like,
all
you have
self-deprecating humor.
You have to be self-deprecating. You have to be able to take a joke about yourself. So we made... And
Like
we wanted to
self-too
curse
seriously.
on our podcast. Yeah, don't take yourself too seriously. We wanted to curse on our podcast and make fun of Now, which
Yeah.
are like one
I
of
saw
our
the first
top
episode
three
was
things.
like,
You know, it was
Yeah.
very important to them because I think they thought that even though within this we all make fun of ourselves and none of us really take this too seriously, otherwise it wouldn't be fun. But even within that framework, they thought I was the serious one. Like I would play the role of the straight man. Pause. I would play that
yeah.
role, and what they would do is make fun of me for doing that. And that's where they just went with it.
And in terms of consistency, look, like Niall made a crack about taking it seriously. We do take it seriously because part of what we saw is that people would start doing things and they would always stop, or they would always like move on to a next project or a next phase, but they would never wrap up what they were doing. So the reason that we like so many different podcasts and articles, and we cited Bill Simmons and Levitar, Bomani Jones, like those kind of people, is that they start doing it and then there's no end in sight. You just keep doing it. Like there's no reason for you to stop. And part of the infrastructure is like when John helped us find the website, is that we have the infrastructure in place. So there's no reason for us to like stop or slow down. You make sacrifices when like, because every one of us has like a regular job that actually, you know, pays the bills. Go to tentys.shop, by the way, and buy some.
Speaking of paying the bills, Timmy's
Yeah.
rocking one right now. I'm
Yeah.
rocking one. We both have on the dad hats.
Yeah, you can buy that. And yeah, that's part of it. Like the consistency is part of it. So when I saw that it was our 100th 8th year junior podcast, but it wasn't our 100th 10th year seniors
Yeah, I think
podcast.
I think that's
10th
what
year
got a lot of
seniors
people
has,
confused.
Like almost 300
Too much,
podcasts
yeah.
going on.
Yeah,
hey, settle down.
too much
okay?
in a good way. Like, it's a lot.
It's not. It's never too much. Never too
That's
much.
why we have a 10th year seniors network. Say at the beginning.
Which is why we started saying that. It's
Yes.
very important to say that. But speaking about all the different podcasts, it goes back to what we said earlier. You don't want to just pigeonhole yourself into one avenue. So somebody would come there for the sports and they would hear us talk about that. It may be somebody that's just strictly a basketball fan. So you go there and you hear the Long Range Two Pointers podcast, or you want to hear Kari and Andrew talk about pop culture issues. You may want to hear Alexis and Ricardo talk about wrestling, or now we have the Gals Pod, where they talk about issues that most concern them. But it's all about bringing in as much different demographics as you can, but you're all coming under the same tent.
So, June 2016, we all got the chance to witness Buddy Hield got drafted. Talk to me about that moment for y'all, knowing that you created something with your two brothers and your friends. You created this. You was able to go to the draft to see a Bahamian get drafted. And you represented your brand. Like, talk to me about this, to have your own thing. And like you said, people always stop. When I started my thing, people always told me, oh, this thing can last in 2 years because that's what y'all Bahamians do. Someone you told me in 3 years.
Y'all
you'll start
wild.
doing this.
Oh wow, that's weird because our first podcast was July 2014. So we're coming up, and that was after the Kyrie Irving implosion, which I really wish we had a camera there for that. Because imagine if that happened today, right? So that was our first
We'd be
podcast.
on Bleacher Report right
I
now.
just looked at a picture of that the other day. We were in Tage's living room, just absolutely, and we talked about starting it for a while, talking about the podcast journey. We talked about doing it for a while, but sometimes you just got to go and jump
go
right
listen
in.
to that podcast.
It's awful. It's god awful, but that's all a part of growth, right? There's nothing that you could look back at you were doing 3 years prior, and it's as good as the work you're doing now. If you're doing the same thing in 3 years, then there's something wrong. There's no growth there. But yeah, the longevity, the consistency, that's important to us. Speaking about the draft, that was also one of our main goals because we thought, yes, Bahamian athletes are highlighted, but again, I feel like there wasn't any real-time reporting of this kind of thing. There wasn't anything that would appeal to a different demographic rather than the standard nuts and bolts reporting that everybody here does. And everybody, you could get that from any different outlet. So what we did when we went to the draft, and you saw it, we wrote a draft diary. And people love that because that wasn't something you could go on ESPN or you would see a ZNS report saying, we were talking about what the atmosphere was in the stands or, you know.
Oh, yeah, so kick the way. You actually kicked this from our spot.
Yeah, me and you being tossed around the stadium because we had no idea where we would go, like things that the average person would find interesting but you wouldn't get just anywhere, you know what I mean? Because the things I have to write for the newspaper, you could get that anywhere. But I feel like 10YS is the avenue to give you something else to entertain you more than to just inform you.
So elaborate more on the team because they started with y'all and then y'all recruited John. They talk about the whole team and what each, not too in depth, but what each brings that makes the brand what it is.
You trying to tell us we too long-winded? Like you saying we talking too long?
No, John.
I mean, because you say
you put us in the
we
sun,
on
though.
TV, right? And I
what
know
I'm
we
saying.
have
You
time.
put us in
We
the
was
sun
sitting
like
here.
we just selling our own
Before
brand.
we
Like,
started
go to
this-
10ys.com. I'm just saying. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
all your socials, all the
your
socials. Because we were sitting out here for like a half hour. I got a baseball game to go coach, and now Timmy telling us to wrap it up.
I never said
And-
that. I said elaborate the team. You know,
Okay,
I have one
elaborate on
question.
the team.
Okay.
Andrew is brought on to bring anarchy. We used to have like group chats with Andrew, and he would just go off on tangents. We spoke
Same
about
thing.
a lot of anime, Chinese cartoons.
Yeah.
Like that was it. Randy is here to be Randy.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't say enough about you,
bring-
Randolph. An invaluable part of the team.
He is.
He is like just.
But that's what, in the beginning, that's what made, making the transition to us doing sporting events easy because we know John had a background. John's a broadcast journalist. He had a background in that stuff. You had me working for one newspaper, Randy working for the other one. So it was easy for us to actually use our day jobs to push the site. And that really
But you
helped us
should-
to
you
get
should
where
be
we
able
are
to
now.
Use your day jobs to push your agenda. I mean, that's the vehement way.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, and then like Cardo came on and he joined the team. He was like the conscious of 10th year seniors.
The most trusted news
Any-
reporter in this entire
Anytime
country.
we were doing
I don't trust
anything
anybody more than
untoward,
him.
he would be like, guys, really? And then we would
The
curse
moral-
at
the
him
moral
and then say,
compass.
yeah.
Yeah,
Moral
he's-
compass. And then Alexis, who also is another like great person. He was
Jesus
I
Christ.
feel like Alexis is underutilized and that he needs, probably this year we're going to like talk to him about doing like
We
more
know
stuff
family
with the
time
brand.
happening too, so you know.
Yeah, I mean, and you understand.
What
that.
we're doing right now is having a production meeting talking about the future of
Yeah,
10YS right now
yes,
on your show.
And then, of
Like,
course, the
write
Gals
more stuff,
podcast
Alexis.
With Amanda and Kelly and Michelle, they're all on board. And Shawnee, who would contribute occasionally, but now she's
What?
all about magic. No, but like that.
No, her life's really magical. Like,
Yeah.
you-
Right,
like
so,
you bring
so
up a
that's
really
so
good
like
point.
sometimes it takes a lot of people to get like some of the stuff done, and people want to contribute and they want to have their voices out there. They want to be heard. So listen, 10th year seniors is all about recruiting. Ronaldo's a fan of the University of Kentucky. We believe all high school sports over
What do you
here
mean,
should
fan?
super fan.
Okay.
A member of the team, University of Kentucky.
Thank
We
you.
You
believe
threw an alley-oop to Rondo in practice before.
yes, we believe all high schools.
It's a good alley-oop.
All high schools over here should be recruiting all the time. So 10th year seniors in that vein is all about recruiting. So if you have talent, tell us, let us know. That, like if you want to write, just tell us, send us something about
Yo,
what you can write.
and I gotta say, if you have hit me up with that kind of thing before and I was awful at it, it's because I am so busy doing a bunch. You know what we need? Somebody that's an actual manager for that kind of stuff. Why you don't do that?
Are you giving me a job on that?
I mean, I'm just saying, we having a production meeting right now.
I
mean, this
You
is
know
a
what?
production
Y'all reach out to Timmy and then Timmy will get
yeah,
to
reach
us.
out to Timmy because then there's other story about Timmy and Ammo that we're not gonna tell on this right now.
I feel like we should though.
But we have more time. But
I feel like we
need
should.
to- But we have to go
get the
commercial.
wrap.
We have to go commercial.
Okay.
We have to go commercial.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have more some words about sponsors, and we'll bring on John, and I will talk more about sports. But stay tuned to Who Dat 242.
Who is that?
Who is that?
I don't know who that is.
Just kill me.
Life has just begun, but now I've gone and thrown it all away.
Kujia. We are the iconic sock brand company of the Bahamas, telling the historic and beautiful story of our country through uniquely designed pieces. We partner with private sectors to educate our followers about the cultural, environmental, and historical facts of this great Bahama land. Join us today. Kujia. Walk with confidence.
Who that what? Who that? Who that what? Who that what? Who that what? Who that? Who that what? Who that what? 28 what? Who that? Hold that what?
So we still here, Who That 242 with 10th Year Seniors, the favorite podcast, the favorite website, and we got John on the set now. And if you was listening earlier, you heard John name pop. So John, let us know.
Your hands are scaring me.
Become a little
Yeah,
Italian
your
or something,
hands are scaring me.
Hispanic.
Can I take
You gotta speak with your hands.
Can I have my own show, please?
Oh,
Can I
yeah,
have my
sorry.
show back?
Go ahead.
So John,
Welcome to Who Is That TV.
we heard about Nas and the Gary. We talked about the 10th Year Seniors podcast, the website there. Beginning to talk to me about your impact, your work in this field.
Is it kind enough to say everything?
I mean,
I mean,
Hey, talk your
I'm
stuff,
just saying.
John. Talk your stuff.
No,
Stunt when necessary.
I know they might have spoken about how we started, but I overheard them talking, and I just said, "Yeah, I want in." Pause. Got to
Basically,
pause
that's-
that
that's
one.
what-
Good, yeah, no, that
So,
was very
that was
applicable.
a very applicable pause.
But yeah, so let me to give a bit of a backstory to what John was saying. It was a little more that went into it than that, because we knew from flag football. I saw John produce some highlights for the BFFL very early on. So we were sitting thinking, who could we get that could do this kind of thing? Because the digital aspect is probably the most important part. Well, is equally important as the writing for me. And John's job, basically for us, in addition to doing everything, his official title is digital content producer, and that's extremely important to everything we do. So when he says everything, it's literally everything digital John is responsible for.
Yeah, so it's like we started, and I did the website. It's a lot of research you got to put into it. You just can't go. It took 6 months for us to even just launch the website.
Right.
So you do
So
the
you launched
website
in July, so about January, really y'all started working on it.
December.
Yeah, the actual launch column, the first thing that we ever produced that I wrote, that came out in August.
Okay.
So it was August. You could still go and check it out now on the website. It's called Welcome to 10th Year Seniors. You'll learn what our mission was when we first started. And even then, in that launch column, I said, we have no idea where we're going to end up or what we're going to be, but we always want to add new people. We always want to add new aspects to the site and continue to grow. And I think that's what we've been able to do over the last 3 years.
And to continue to grow part's important too, because we've established so much relationships with people from abroad, even people from here. So, for example, I work with the Basketball Federation. I've been able to work with
I
FIBA
like when
now.
he starts stunting. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Go ahead,
So now
Liz.
FIBA hires 10th year seniors, which is me, to take
Stunt,
photos.
stunt,
Yeah,
stunt.
to take photos for the windows. So I've taken photos for 6 windows, because I'm the only one who's taking photos. Ain't none y'all writing.
Not actual windows.
Yeah, but they have 2 games at a time, so it's been like I've been on helping universities do their things. I've been able to go off. We've been to the Final Four. I've been go watch DeAndre Ayton, Buddy Hield away. I mean, it's pretty cool to have your website, your work, and then where people respect you to a point where they're like, okay, yep, we're gonna give these guys credentials to be able to go cover at the highest level. So
So talk to me about your guys. We have a Klay Thompson drop, a Draymond drop. You even got the Sweet Bells Thompson.
Yeah.
If needed, because that name is kind of
No. See, I think that's okay because that's his nickname, and it was also a nickname from a previous time. Like right now in 2018, you can't walk around calling nobody Sweet
Agreed,
Bells.
agreed.
Like if we were to give any one of these dudes playing high school ball right now the nickname Sweet Bells, 10th year seniors would be run out of the gym, and that can't
they
happen
wouldn't care
because
about photos or video anymore.
John is the most respected white person in the history of Bahamian high school basketball. So we need to keep that relationship
Don't
keep
sleep
that
on
relationship
Jonathan.
intact. But yeah, we've had we've had an amazing guest list so far because I think there's a lot of people that see what we're trying to accomplish and a lot of people that want to be a part of that. I know Myron Roll was one of our first guests. He's my frat brother, so he's always
And
gonna.
that was one of the best podcasts I think.
It
we
was really
probably
good. I
had.
think we learned so much about him that people still
No,
don't get in
yeah.
their interviews. Like my favorite part of that podcast was him saying he had to freestyle in the FSU locker room, and he learned that he was pretty good at it. So he could play football, he could perform surgery on
And
your
he could rap.
brain,
And
and
he
he
could
could
rap.
spit
He
a
could
mean.
bars.
He could spit a mean 16. We've had, I know, 8YJ, Dakari, and Andrew. They've had Loretta Butler Turner before the collapse. They had Fred Mitchell on there. From the sports aspect, we've had Todd Isaacs. We mentioned Myron,
Anton.
Clay Thompson, Anton Richardson,
Right, we had
Keno
the
Burrows.
former Prime Minister.
Yeah.
former Prime Minister Perry Christie was on. He got interviewed by 10YS. It was a on-site kind of podcast, but yeah, people reach out to us. Sometimes we reach out to guests that we think are interesting, but I think that's kind of our job as quote unquote media, is to go out in search of what's interesting, and then you bring that back to the people.
Yeah, you got to find the relevant stories that's going on, and you want to keep it relevant with, especially since we're local, get the people who are doing outstanding work and bring them in.
And the last 2 years, y'all have just been owning the live stream. You talk to me about how clutch has that been for y'all, getting the people to come to the website. And I know I wish when I was in school during BAS, someone would be live streaming it. Because while I was in class Wednesday and Thursday, I couldn't watch it. Nowadays, these students could go on their phone, and both have the phone in class, but they could go and see. Like, I have my former teachers teaching in class, watching BAS because of the site.
Shout out to everyone who watches it,
Yeah,
especially SAC, because I know that those numbers be booming up in SAC.
especially St. John's with their strong third. But anyway, yeah, I feel like that was so important because of my day job writing at the Tribune, right? I would have early on when I would come back home and I would be interning in the summer, you would have athletes come there and they would ask for clips. And I'm thinking to myself, this is 21st century. Why are people still coming asking for newspaper clips? Like, that's not how you're going to be able to market yourself to the rest of the world. So we thought they needed to have this digital database, and that's one of the things we wanted to accomplish with the site as well. So after a few conversations, me and John thought, look, we just have to go out there. We got to get this footage. We got to create these highlights. We have to be able to put these kids on a stage and make them feel like stars, because that's the only way anyone else would see them as that. So we wanted to give them as much exposure as possible, and I think that's what we've been able to do. I think if you ask anybody 18 and below where do they see themselves or where do they want to be featured, are they going to say on the traditional media, or are they going to say they want to be on 10YS?
Yeah, and with the live streaming, because that's where I'll have to thank Summer of Thunder, because we go out there and we used to record games and then like render them on the computer, and then that's where I started thinking, that has to be an easy way to do
It
these
can't be
things.
this hard.
Yeah, it can't be this hard and take this long to be able to do
Yeah.
one simple game. So that's where the ball started rolling with getting the live stream. I found some equipment online, and my uncle was coming down the next week, so it was just like, hey, ship it to him, bring it down, and that's honestly where it started with BAISS. I remember me and I were talking before, because we were at the stadium and I have all the camera gear, and I was just like, we should just live stream this. Like, it wasn't even a plan.
Yeah, like so much of this was on a whim, and so much of this was just hustling and going out there and just doing something that nobody asked you to do it. Like, we didn't even ask permission to do any of this stuff. Like,
right.
we legit just went out there, thought that it was being underserved, and said we're gonna go ahead and do it. And the service just kind of it took off.
Yeah,
Like-
no, that was when we realized what live streaming was for us, like with BISS, because me and I were talking before, and this is like, we're just gonna do finals, and I was like, nah, let's just do the whole thing, because we're here already, might as well just. And then we realized we had like 1,000 viewers in the first hour, and we were just like, wow, 1,000 people watching this right
Yeah.
now.
Absolutely.
And then we were just like, oh, we're gonna record the whole thing.
And that's one thing I did learn about all of the personalities we mentioned earlier. Like, you can sell the entertainment, you can sell the news and information and all of that stuff. But the reason that ESPN grew to the monster that it is because of the live sporting events. Like, that is one thing that's always going to get you the numbers. And to reach a younger generation, you can't just have things on television, because most kids, they want to watch it together. I think the biggest thing about our live stream is the fact that it's like they're watching it together. They get to comment together.
Shout out
It's
to the
like,
comment section.
yeah, it's like we have the most
Yeah,
lit comment
yeah,
section in the
that-
Bahamas.
Real talk.
They're all in one room. They're all communicating together, and it creates a different experience than you just sitting at home in your individual televisions, and you feel kind of disconnected. That being said, look, to do all of this stuff.
That's actually my next question.
Oh, yeah,
because,
go ahead,
everyone
go ahead.
has-
Go.
Everyone has a day job, and all us know that doing this this is basically a full-time job in its own, but you still
Yeah.
finance it. So it's only so much your own personal pockets could put towards it. What can we do, we as a country and we as 10YS, to bridge a gap? Like, who have you worked with prior to and looking to work with again to try? Because it costs money. It costs money.
We look for as much members of corporate Bahamas to come up off those dollars as possible, because all of this production, all of this work, it's very time consuming, and it is a passion project. But at the same time, when you want your passion project to grow and you want to get to that next step and you want to continue to progress and do as much as possible, we talked about adding people and going to more events. We got the NBA draft coming up in June. If you want to do all these things and you want to compete internationally, it's going to take funding for you to do so. And I feel like funding is the cry for everyone in this creative space that we're in, but at the same time, it's absolutely necessary. And if you create the market, because I feel like we've created a market in terms of people that want to see our product.
I think you've actually shifted the culture, because BISS is no longer the same. You can't have a BISS anymore where it's not live stream.
Oh yeah, no, you can no longer not have a live stream.
It has changed.
Did you see what happened after we didn't live stream nationals?
Yeah, so
People are irate. The natives are
the culture-
You know how
restless.
much
Affected
phone
by
calls I
change.
got from that? It's the most phone calls I got in my life.
You can't go back, and like you said, for y'all to continue doing that, okay, y'all did it you actually went there and just did it for free, but now it's not possible anymore, because as the demand grows, you need more funding, more people. So I know y'all worked with Farm TV at that
Yeah.
was Hugh Campbell. Was that?
That was the
BISS.
BISS and
Both
GSSA basketball
Yeah.
championships.
But
Yeah.
that's the thing. It's funding. We're lucky to have a couple advertisers. We're lucky to have a couple relationships built with leagues here, where we're able to do a live stream production. They see the value in it, so they're able to fund it, so we could do it. But if there's another way, you could go to 10ys.shop, and you could buy these shirts that we're
Always
wearing right
plug.
now.
Always plug.
And that goes towards everything that we do. So you're buying a shirt. Not only are you wearing a nice shirt,
Oh, I
Wait.
got a good line.
Okay.
I got a good line for that. Hold on.
Alright.
Bars.
segue.
Not only are you buying this trendy gear that you see right here, you are investing in the future of young Bahamians.
Perfect. So I don't know how much time I have left. I guess the producer could let me know. But y'all were on the ball.
He's gonna
before-
clap pretty soon.
Before everybody on Buddy Helios, before everybody in Aiden, who was next? Who was the next Bahamians in any sport that we should be looking at?
If you're talking basketball, 100%, it's Franco Miller.
Yeah.
Franco Miller right now, he's at Crestwood Prep in Toronto, Canada. He's going to be the next Bahamian to burst onto the scene for people to absolutely wonder, well, where did he come from? That's the guy. He's been the best player in his age group for quite some time now. Since he's gone to Canada, he's blossomed. We're interested to see where his choice in college, his choice at the university level, where that's going to end up and how that'll affect his career. But if I had to pick one, I would say he's the guy.
And agreeing with him, but also in college right now, Travis Munnings.
Yeah.
That's another one that you got to keep your eyes out on.
And John, you travel a lot with the national team. What can you?
I
see
hate him so much for that.
in 2020, because that's the next Olympics. 2020, can we feed
John always
a
going.
good squad?
We can if we get all our players. If we could free Eric Gordon, we definitely could get to the
But
Olympics.
so for sure, we got Buddy.
We got Buddy, we got
Michael
Aiden, we got
Thompson.
Travis, we got Mike, we got Keno. We have a lot of pieces, Kadeem. We have a lot of pieces, but then if you add in that Eric Gordon piece,
Can I tell you that John is officially the Brian Windhorst of Bahamian national team basketball? He has all of the inside information. What he gave you just there, that was just a morsel. There's so much insider information. Like, we should make people pay for that.
Well,
or you could just visit 10ys.com.
yeah, so start paying for the clothes, because you never know. In 2 or 3 years, they may actually charge you to actually go on the site. But we got the time. This is 242 with Tim May. You had Kari
Who is
earlier.
that?
I'm not gonna say that.
Who is that
We
242?
had the Kari earlier from 8 Year Juniors. I'm on the Conversation podcast. We have Niall, John, your Say Reading Fridays with Andrew. And log into the website. The SoundCloud link is, I guess, 10 Cent Senior.
Just search 10th year seniors on anything on
Google
the
them. Just
internet.
Google them.
Look, Google us. We're all
If you
over
Google
on the socials.
10ys, you'll find us too.
It's basically our
Those are
handle for
acronyms,
everything.
yeah.
So just go ahead and look us up. We're not too difficult to find.
This is episode 5. We're halfway through. Only 5 more episodes left. This is 242 with Tim May.
Who is that? I'm Ronaldo. That's Kari. That's John.
Buy the gear.
We're
the
10th
gear.
year seniors, and you are watching Who Is That TV.
Who that? 242.
I learned to speak proper English.
that?
Who is that?
Who that? What? Who that? Who that? What? Who that? Wait? Who Who that? What? Who that? Who that? Boy, who that? What? 28.